passing grade, as much as you can get a passing grade for the offseason, he has one at this point, right? In terms of how he's presented himself, the way he's talked about team building, the way he's handled things. He's, at this point, thumbs up for Brian Schottenheimer, right?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing that you can grade him on. So
you can build, but quality of the type of staff we think he's built.
Yeah.
The way he's taking feedback, the way he's talking about certain issues, like all those optics matter, I think. And he gets passing grades for him so far. So this is a great article by Brad Townsend over at the Dallas Morning News, where he had talked to Brian Schottenheimer and some of Schotty's family, and it was just trying to get a sense of, like, why was this, you know how they talked about so much in his opening press conference, how he's been working his whole life towards this, and everything has been about becoming a coach and leading a group of men like this. This has been what he's worked his whole life towards. So Brad Townsend went and decided to do some talking to his family, things like, what does that look like? How did he get to this point? How is it that this is what he's prepared for his whole life? So we're going to read from this article from the Dallas Morning News and stop down and chat about some of it. And also, you can let us know on the Franklin Injury Attorneys fan text, how have your feelings, if at all, maybe they haven't changed at all, but how have your feelings changed at all potentially on the Brian Schottenheimer hire after you've seen him now hire a staff, the way he's talked about things, the way he's approached things? 877-881-1053, 877-881-1053. This from the Dallas Morning News. Brian Schottenheimer figured it was nerves.
Real quick, so the fan text is saying that you did get 5 wins on the...
No. So it was 5 days, but there was a day where they had a short Rangers game, so they didn't hold a vote that day. So it was the 6th day I was on, but one of those days they skipped a vote, which was disappointing to me. But it's what they did. Brian Schottenheimer figured it was nerves or something he ate. He was 14, watching on TV as his father, Marty, for the 2nd straight January, coached Cleveland against Denver for the AFC title. The previous year, Brian watched in person and agony as the Browns succumbed to the drive. Now his gut ached, but not because he sensed another impending Browns calamity, the fumble. Unknown to Marty and his wife, Pat, as they flew back from the 38-33 heartbreak in Denver, their son's appendix was on the verge of bursting. 37 years later, new Cowboys coach Brian Schottenheimer's eyes well while recounting the ordeal. He says, quote, "Here's my father, exhausted. He just lost his 2nd consecutive AFC championship game, chance to go to the Super Bowl. I'm in excruciating pain. He immediately transformed from being head coach Marty Schottenheimer to dad. They drive me to the Cleveland Clinic emergency room. A couple hours later, I'm on the operating table." So imagine that real quick for Marty Schottenheimer. You come off that 2nd straight just gut-wrenching loss to the Broncos, and then you go home and go, I got to take my kid to the emergency room because he needs to be operated on.
Crazy. It's I mean, that's gut. It was a gut-wrenching 2 years for them. I mean, it really was. Really 3 years, because they did it again the year after.
They say, so who is Shotty? In interviews with the Dallas Morning News, family and friends paint a portrait of a 51-year-old who very much is Marty's son, proudly so, but also is his own man with distinctly shoddy abilities. His mother, Pat, says he's always shown strong leadership. In social situations, he kind of takes over. So much like his dad, such a people person. Marty could be very stubborn at times. Brian is not stubborn. Brian will listen. I don't want to use the word compromise, but he will make sure his position is known. I think this is an interesting dynamic here, because this is one that I think Sean's talked about before whenever he's been here. Sean has said before that he just doesn't get the vibe. Like, Shotty can be the culture builder and everything else, but he doesn't know if Shotty's going to be the one to just like lay down the law. Like, he doesn't know if he's going to be like, nope, this is what we're doing. Which, that description right there, that Marty was stubborn, but Brian will listen. Is that healthy? Is that the way you want it? Or does it lend anything to the idea of, is Brian Schottenheimer going to lay it down and say, no, this is what we're doing, okay? And you guys need to just fall in line. Like you oftentimes need.
Do you?
I think at times you do need a unifying voice that says this is what we're doing. And you guys all need to start getting, because when you're trying to lead 53 players and however many coaches, everybody's always going to have a different opinion. So there does have to reach a point where somebody says, this is a decision we've made and we need to do it.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think the whole lay down the law thing is overrated in today's sports world.
Lay down the law, but a unified vision.
You need to have a singular vision. You need to have everybody on the same page in terms of, like, look, this is the goal. But I mean, everybody should be on the same page with this is the goal anyway. The goal should be the same for everybody.
Right, but the way to achieve the goal is going to be different.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so the plot you take and the path you take, you need everybody to be on the same page.
Yeah.
So it's like, which is what Schottenheimer himself has done when he said, I don't necessarily agree with some of the stuff offensively that Mike McCarthy wants to do, but this is what we have to do. Because if I just spend time fighting it, we're not going to have success anyway, because we're not going to be executing things to the level of detail that we need to. So let's just, all right, I've made my point known, but it's time to go do this.
Mm-hmm.
And so at some point, somebody's got to say,
well, a lot of that comes with respect, too.
Yeah.
The players got to respect the coach. They have to respect his mind, his philosophies. They have to respect his vision, his ability to coach them up. They got to have trust in him. Like Sean McVay, like the players have tons of trust in Sean McVay. Like no matter how injured we are, no matter how old the quarterback is or how bad his arm might be, he's going to come up with a game plan that is going to help us win.
972 none Bobby. Now shut up and stop trying to convince us on Shoddy's stupid nickname too. 972. I won't shut up because I have a microphone in front of my face. Get back to work.
Whoa,
all right.
Hey.
Though largely a mystery man to fans,
Shoddy
said,
God, more comments like that.
Shoddy since 2022 has been a prominent presence at the Star. First as a coaching staff consultant, and the past 2 seasons as offensive coordinator. Still life as a head coach's son, a college goal of becoming the youngest head coach in NFL history. Calm down, Chop. And
I'm just reading the fan text going in on Sean. How many kids does this guy have? Sean's kid's like a year old now.
She's about to graduate, isn't she?
Damn, Sean works just only even weeks.
Still life as a head coach's son. A college goal of becoming the youngest head coach in NFL history, nearly 3 decades as an assistant, prepared him for the reality that being in charge is different. Culture must be built, relationships deepened, trust established. We're all in this together, he says. Cowboys staffers say Schottenheimer one morning personally passed out Whataburger breakfast sandwiches to every employee at the Star. We heard that from Nick Harris recently. Emphasizing the example set by his father, he's told everyone connected to football operations that their families come first, that he better not hear after the fact that someone prioritized work over a family crisis or life event. Now, that is the kind of thing that I feel like you would want in your head coach. You specifically, Chop. The idea of a coach who does tell everybody, look, we're here, we're working, but if there's a family crisis or emergency, I better not hear that you put work over it. If you stayed here, you didn't go home to take care of something. Mm-hmm. That's because you, I feel like, have argued that sort of, hey, let's not make work bigger than life. I feel like you've made that argument as being like, that will ultimately help people be happier at work and be more productive at work, is when they know they can have their life when they need it.
I don't want people to, I wouldn't want somebody to feel like they're going to work. Like it's not you know what I mean? If it's work, eventually you're going to start to hate it. You got to like what you do, and you got to like being there. People leave, the stats show, people don't leave jobs, they leave managers.
Well, and look,
like if you love your manager, you're going to work harder for them.
Kellen Moore left a manager, for instance. That happened. And so,
man, look, that's fair. That's what happens.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. I think it's encouraging not only to just have Schottenheimer put it down as,
I truly think though, Mike did leave the Cowboys. Like I don't think he left Jerry.
I
think he left the Cowboys.
I think he left everything that comes with it.
This is too much for me. You want to pay me a gob of money to stay, I'll stay. But other than that,
I agree with that.
Let's just go.
I agree with that.
But I think you're right. I think Kellen left Mike, but I think Mike left the team.
Well, and so Schottenheimer, for him to communicate, like I say, those seem like little things, but not only like, oh, I'm going to buy breakfast for everyone. It's not like, hey, come get it in the conference room or come get it off the table. Like he went to every office and was like giving everybody their breakfast.
Yeah.
And telling them like, hey, here's breakfast. Want to say hey, blah, blah, blah. Then when he's telling everybody, look, I'm laying down the expectation that the only way you're getting in trouble for the issue of a family crisis versus work is if I hear that you didn't go home. Like that's going to upset me, is if I hear you didn't go home, because now I got guys who they're too focused on something. Because,
and he just bought your focus while you're there.
And I think Shoddy is that guy.
Yeah.
Or was that guy at one point. Because when you read that book, we played the audio from it, Collision Low Crossers.
He was there all night.
They would talk about that he was there longer than Coughlin. Like how late Tom Coughlin would stay, Shoddy was there even later. I've talked to people around the league who say, no, Shoddy would stay I mean, Coughlin doesn't compare to the type of work that Schotty would put in when he was younger. And I think he realized, I can't do this. He wanted to, but he couldn't. They talk about how different he is, that when he went to a Cleveland Browns game when he was younger with Marty, Schotty was taking all these scout notes. And as they were driving home, he just could not stop quizzing his dad on, tell me about Mel Blount, tell me about Franco Harris, after they'd played a game against the Steelers. And he just wanted all these details and wanted to know more. And he's just always been obsessive about it. And it reached a point, I think, where he realized he was too obsessive. They say Schottenheimer is not the first Cowboys coach with no prior NFL head coaching experience. He's the sixth. He's the second whose father was an NFL head coach, joining Wade Phillips. 4 Cowboys coaches, Tom Landry, Jimmy Johnson, Shan, and Jason Garrett, were younger than Schotty when hired, but he is the first Cowboys coach born in the 1970s. He's probably the first whose playlist includes, I want you to rank this or grade this playlist.
Let's see if Peyton's heard of any of these.
He's probably the first whose playlist includes Jodeci.
Okay.
Morgan Wallen.
Ooh, okay.
SZA. Creed.
Ugh.
Rod Wave. And
I don't know that I know Rod Wave.
Oh, Rod Wave's so awesome. Get some Rod Wave, Peyton. Rod Wave and Frank Sinatra.
Okay. That's
a very varied playlist.
They call that eclectic?
Yes, eclectic.
That's good. That's a good one.
I think that's the word for it. Almost certainly, he's the first to sport tattoos, at least visibly.
Schotty has tats?
He does. There's one on his wrist. I know. I think he's got one on his arm too. He has Faith Family Football inked on one arm, Grit on one hand, and the birth dates of his wife, son, and daughter under his left forearm. In conversation, he comes across as confident but not cocky or domineering, engaging, introspective, sincere, likable. Whether those traits will manifest into Cowboys victories remains to be seen, but from all appearances, Schottenheimer is comfortable being at the on-field helm of one of sports' most iconic franchises. I don't think you'll find a more genuine person, says Dan Shell, Schottenheimer's high school best friend and football teammate. He doesn't try to be something he's not. And I think that's the important thing. When you hear stuff like this, and I know it's easy for some people to roll their eyes at it, when you hear stuff like this, most of the time, Chop, I would say it doesn't matter in most places. That kind of stuff, being prepared for the job, being prepared to understand what Dallas is critical for this job. That stuff, Monday through Saturday, and the people managing and the ability to get people behind you and to understand you and to follow you, that matters here. And the ability to weather the expectations that come with this place matter here. Because like you just said, Mike McCarthy left Dallas. Mike McCarthy left what the Cowboys are. Because that was too much for everything that went right for Mike. For everything that went right for Mike. Mike never, ever adjusted to what does it mean to be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. He always, I think, longed for the Green Bay setup.
Yeah, I think that he's ideally like he wants that sort of mom and pop feel.
Whereas, can he get it done as an X's and O's coach? Who knows? Brian Schottenheimer may be a complete failure on the football field. We don't know that. But here's what we do know. With certainty, when you talk about a first-time head coach, it's going to be really hard to find somebody who's more prepared to understand what Dallas is. Mm-hmm. It's going to be incredibly difficult.
It is.
Growing up around Marty, seeing the NFL for as long as he has, working with the Jets as long as he did, which are just a total S show over there.
They are.
And then you get he's been here in Dallas for a couple years. He already has a relationship with the quarterback. This is something where, at least for that aspect of the job, you know that he's going to be solid. He will be prepared for that. Now, does that translate to wins, just like the article talks about? We don't know.
We don't know.
It may not be good enough on the X's and O's. But that aspect of it, where Mike McCarthy was failing and a lot of coaches fail, Schottenheimer's going to be prepared, and he'll have that side covered.
You know, if they're healthy, they're going to be generally a pretty good team, I think. If they're not, and that's it. It comes on Dak, and is he going to be ready for camp? Yeah, probably. That's the reality of it. Is Dak's health comes into play with how great Schottenheimer's going to be able to be as a coach. Yeah. There are some coaches who, if Dak is not healthy this year, like his career won't even get off the ground this season. Very, very, unless there's Joe Milton.
What are you doing?